Hello, and welcome to the Memory Arcade. It's Elden Ring, and actually considered taking a break from the game just to put a little fresh on my stream. Hi, Seguana, how are you? But then I guess I'm kinda in the end game, so it wouldn't feel right to, I don't know, throw in a couple of filler streams. I mean, not filler streams, but palette cleanser streams when I'm right there at the end. Or very close. I mean, we're in the mountains. We have to get to this place. But I'm also still very curious about anything concerning Rani the Witch, who, I guess, based on aesthetics, vibe, and story involvement, might be my favorite NPC. And there's something I didn't consider when she teleported away, which is that the tower dedicated to her mom was locked previously, and it may have opened. I say this like I'm about to find out. I actually looked up, hey, what's the deal? Is there gonna be more to Ronnie's quest? And the mercifully vague guide was like, yeah, the Renna's Rise is now open, so yeah, let's go here. Let's check that out. Also, another thing I learned is that the Great Rune of the Unborn, Renna's Rune, it's already active. I searched the game far and wide, or I did the whole runny thing just to get into the tower, Divine Tower of Leonia, only to realize that it contained half of the Rune of Death, but not the power to activate Renna's Rune. It's already active. It's been active the whole time. What does it do? Respec. The respec service of Renna is powered by that rune. That's it. The perfect rebirth is just that, the respec. I thought it would maybe be like an extra life that we could, get, but honestly, I'm okay with this. Oh, Renna's outfit. I'm actually tempted to completely like turn Old Man Seto into Old Lady Seto for New Game Plus, and just for those aesthetics. There's a portal here. I'm so excited because I have an idea where this may go. Yeah, might be a shorter afternoon stream. Now I'm only really here because my therapist cancelled on me, which is not dramatic. I'm not like in any acute situation where I need. Okay, that's just fan service now. Where I need that, it's really just the last few appointments that we had in the contingent of sessions that we're, spreading out over a few, over several months, just to just let it peter out. Doll resembling Rani the Witch, from head to toe, every detail is perfect. His unresponsive doll seems pleasantly cool. I mean, she is pleasantly cool in real life. This is in the underground. That's wild, and also a section of the underground I haven't been to. The fact that this game has a freaking Underdark equivalent, because Underdark is a D&D thing, I think Wizard may also even have the copyright on that. It's just so cool to me. Like, of all the things to make your world feel big and expansive and just like fantasy royalty, having like, oh yeah, there are caverns underneath that are vibrant enough to have flora and fauna. And due to the elevator rides and the... I guess I already harvested those. Due to the elevators and the vistas we get treated to when we ride these elevators, it really feels like... It feels massive and impactful. Like this, I mean, it's still a video game. It still has to cover or make things seem more bigger and expansive than they actually are. Even though by square mileage, this is probably... I can't even say it is a big open world when I've read reviews that say no, it's not. Like, just by square footage, it is smaller and more bespoke than, like, Ubisoft shovelware. It's one of those creepy things. Not sure if they've ever came up on stream. Here's a couple of these. And they're, yeah, these are bad news. The second session streaming from my new office. I'm super open to any kind of feedback. If my voice, I don't know, if it cuts out or anything. Because the microphone position is not quite as it used to. So, yeah. Like, if you ever notice something suboptimal on the technical side of my stream, don't feel obligated to, but certainly feel free to notify me of it, because that's how I learn to improve stuff. Gravity magic in this game is just interesting and wild to me. Do you even have close quarter combat attacks? Oh, well, to find out. You are a wicked design, let me tell you. Also, those who've tuned in a few times may have noticed that I just keep making up silly and wild... Oh, there's an eye in the skull. My god. Is it just wearing the skull? Was this like a parasite inside of a giant? Got me. Yeah, those who've tuned in several times may have noticed that for every stream title for Elden Ring, I've just made up an imaginary boss that just kind of sounds like a Souls boss, but also a little silly. And increasingly, I just really want to meet those bosses in game. Like, Belligerent Goblin Mob sounds like something... Not to toot my own horn here, but that sounds like a silly but fun encounter. By the way, what are we rocking here? We can't drop here. So... also still tickled by the fact that the creatures that I would identify most readily as goblins, the little, yeah, the very tiny individuals who sometimes throw smoke bombs and such. They don't have the bulbous heads that I most readily associate with fantasy goblins, you know, either from World of Warcraft or specifically Pathfinder. But they share some of the, like they share the overall height and some of the weaponry. I'm not sure if it's a coincidence or deliberate. The goblins of Pathfinder are a lot of fun. They're kind of the mascots of this D&D spin-off. And they sometimes on like free RPG day... Hey kitty cat! On like free RPG day, there's gonna be like little adventures featuring goblin characters. Okay. You always know how to interrupt. Ooh. Dude has bolas. Little adventures featuring the goblin, and it's usually some delightful chaotic evil one-shot stuff. Probably the only time where you should play an evil character in D&D. Like in a one-shot where you can just be murder hobos and not think too hard on the consequences. Yeah. Diamond Harpoon. Always in the market for a good polearm. Let's see if I should really take care of all of these ads before I attack the main boss. As a deceptive in that they are slow and pretty easy to deck out, but they can gang up on you and have a couple of the attacks that are not fun to be on the business end of. Okay, let's not drop down here. At least not yet. You know, look at this bulbous eye. It really looks like some kind of parasitic insect thingy. Grew inside a skeleton. Hopefully a skeleton. Some smithing stone 7, that's pretty high. Oh. Where even are we? Okay. So... Wait a minute. Yeah, I came from here. And then this thing is kinda over here. Let's make sure we got everything. I also have to briefly pause the stream in a minute to clean a little litter box. I think I'm about to receive a present in that regard. Let's see. Also a new patch dropped for the game, which surprisingly dropped a bunch of content, like new NPCs, new stages, in the quests of other NPCs. Not sure what that means, if they just straight up added more to those quests, or if they made the flow of them a little more apparent. Apparently there's now a jar NPC that is just really nice and cool, and there have been stability fixes. The game still feels as choppy as it did before, but I do hope that crashes will, well, ideally not at all anymore, because I had a few in the last couple of sessions. It wasn't fun. Summoned a bunch of buddies, huh? Geometry, please. That's about all there is to this. Oh, can't use a horse body. Yeah. I need to clean the litter box. It's not the smell, it's the burning in the eyes. I'll be right back. Okay. Now, one caveat about my new setup is that I'm sitting right in front of a window, which I'm currently mitigating by not talking super loudly. I mean, never ever talk super loudly, but more directly into the mic. If anyone gets the ASMR tingles from that, pay me. I got a coffee tip jar. That shit doesn't come cheap. I'm told. Where even do I want to go? Oh, palace ruins. I guess a passage to over here. I can. But this is just where we came from, right? There's also conspicuously a coffin. And I know FromSoft. Cat, are you just vying for maximum attention? Toilet shenanigans and otherwise, huh? Yeah, so I know FromSoft, and there have been a few situations where lying down in a coffin has opened up new stuff. But that was usually with a contextual prompt and not some kind of lay down emote or whatever. Also, he arrived here, so I'm not sure if that would be plausible. Okay, so coming from this place, the thingy was basically linked up here, and this kind of feels like, yeah, this is where we want you to go. There's big fuck off statues and this is also not so steep as that we could get in trouble. Also, there's for everyone who has a thing about insects, there's giant ants down there, and they're a little grody. And yeah, there's some more down here. Some of them are actually quite benign. Like, if they're busy working, they will just keep working. This one, not so much, it seems. I cannot go both ways when it comes to giant insects. On one hand, there's this, wow, this is like, as in, this is horror that entertains me, but also just slightly upsets me. Like, one of my regulars is arachnophobic, and I learned a bunch about the sensibilities regarding that from them. And, yeah, try to provide content warnings where I can. But I've also just... What are you? Are you the brain bug? But also just help me identify that, yeah, I may have a slight phobia in that regard. do. Like, nothing too major, like nothing that keeps me from playing this. But I would rather not face these enemies, or I could do with maybe a little more stylization. Also, I absolutely have a thing about brains. Like, if... like from an early age, the episode on Simpsons, the Treehouse of Horror, where Mr. Burns, like, removes Homer's brain and puts it into a robot, just absolutely freaked me out. I guess it was also just pretty intense for a cartoon, especially in the, what, late 80s and early 90s. But also, I don't know, there's something very specific about the about that just really didn't sit well with me. But paradoxically, it's also the kind of horror that I kind of sometimes seek out. And I guess that's the function of horror to begin with. Like, I wouldn't say that anyone who has a phobia of something should absolutely go seek out horror pertaining to that specific phobia. That's silly. But, or rather, it's insensitive and also, you know, it might just not work. But on the other hand, Oxstella. Oh yeah, this is where we want to be and should be. I wanna check out the other thing. Like the corridor. Going off the ant nest, or maybe leading into an ant nest. God forbid. Oh my god, those are people riding the ants. See, now it's cool again. Oh, but you know, personal comfort levels and all that. But yeah, I guess in terms of, I don't know, is it called contact therapy? Like when you purposefully and in a controlled environment confront yourself with something that upsets you. And I guess horror is that. Just the entire premise of the genre, to a degree, is, yeah, let's throw something really upsetting at you for funsies. Like a roller coaster. No, one of them, and I immediately inquired if that was the brain bug. And since we've had this subject a bunch of times, I just... oh. Came to think on the idea of phobias and the purpose of horror in the context of phobias or generally upsetting ideas. Oh, I mean, it used that big head very aggressively, and I don't know if there are ants that have like big heads and use them like that. Okay, this feels like a trap, but... Wing of Astor. Oh yeah, I've been here before. Just from the other side during the last big underground adventure, I think. Anyway, let's hope that any kind of unpleasantness regarding giant ass insects, yeah, will be mitigated by the silliness of them being used as mounts. Also, I think this is an absolute perfect spot to have a rest. Where are we? Approaching soul level 100. Yeah, I think this build is basically done. Like, I could probably pump more stamina, but 125 feels super solid. And I feel whenever my stamina isn't sufficient, you know, True, it runs out very, very fast if I use barrage on the bow, but that's just the nature of the thing. But in an active fight, I don't feel like super limited. In fact, I can block so much shit with this much endurance. It's not even funny. Strength 16 just for requirements. We've just kind of settled on that. Dexterity 40 feels pretty complete. And that's also the soft cap. We're dum-dum, so intelligence stays at 9. Like, if I ever get it into my head to completely respec the character, sure, might go for that. And yeah, Arcane is currently at 12 for core requirements, and I think I'll just keep pumping Faith now. Until, I don't know what the meta is gonna be. I think I'm just gonna aim for 120, 130-ish. Maybe there will be a couple more points going into other stats for requirements, like if we find a really, really cool weapon that needs a bit more strength for Arcane. But that's basically the build. Yeah. And this place seems to be at least related to Rani. Like, I'm not sure if she went here to fulfill her destiny. We handed her that God Killer dagger, and suddenly we're in season 2 of his Dark Materials. Also, this is a sickle that turns into a whip, and oh my god, where's the Ivy successor character for Soul Calibur? Wields that. Okay, and here's the ant skull plate as a shield. Let's briefly have a look. Of course, high strength requirement, it's a big shield. Huge head of one of the giant ants which inhabited 2 underground rivers, used without modification as a shield, excels at repelling enemy attacks. Giant ants are venomous creatures, granting boost immunity when wielding the shield. Okay. Oh yeah, I can see that. I recently watched a couple of episodes of a TV show where they have blacksmiths, professional or hobbyists, come in and have them forge various types of bladed weapons, and with a bunch of historic stuff thrown in. Like it's light entertainment, and oh, okay. And some of these curved blades that originate, I believe, with African cultures can be really wicked in terms of what they can do to an opponent. Oh, and these come with shields, so now we've gone full circle to the Legion enemies from Demon Souls. Electroactive. That can't be good. Oh. I recently watched some Linkara. His review of the Killing Joke movie was... Well, the review was excellent, and yeah, oh god, that movie honked. And something... Oh yeah, the Armageddon 2001 review, which also, all the points he raised ring very, very true. I also like it when there's just one silly situation that is so exploitable for humor that he goes into a lightning round of goofy jokes to make about it. Ghost Glove pick a spell bearing 2, so I'm guessing that will allow us to buy Somber Smithing Stones 3 and 4. Kinda coming around a little on the numbering, but only a little. And only due to the fact that you now have them go up to, what, 8. And I can kinda see that they wouldn't want to come up with increasingly more specific sizes of... Oh, summoning a bunch of archers could actually be really nice. I mean, he handles it very well. Like the super disgusting part of the actual Killing Joke comic is mentioned in passing, and he doesn't reshare any footage. But the whole thing is just a travesty. I hope you planned for me doing this kind of bullshit. Actually, I don't think I did anything. Nah, Didn't do anything particularly goofy here. Yeah, and it's especially disappointing coming from Bruce Timm, because Bruce Timm has done a lot of great work. Wait, is that a E1000 cudgel? That's some creative use of liquid metal. And also... Oh, the prompt about the stone sword key blocked me from using my healing, which is weird. How? Oh, it's one of those that is alive and really comes actively after me. 47,000 souls, as I still refuse to update my interface. Should just really make one, because it's certainly not the last time I stream a Souls game. Move the camera thingy a bit. Seems like I'm dragging my feet, but it's a bunch of interface items that need to be moved, and I'm peculiar for doing that pixel perfect. I'm not entirely opposed to the idea, as in it happens in the context of the animated universe that he created with Paul Dini, and it happening way late, like later into there, like when Tim Drake was already when Tim Drake was already Robin and all that. Like that late into the timeline, it's still an age difference, and maybe in terms of their dynamic, maybe a little messy, but it doesn't feel inherently icky. Yeah, or late 20s even. Like, I'm not sure, like, have you watched Return of the Joker, the Batman Beyond feature? That has this extensive cutscene of the Joker capturing Tim Drake and really messing him up, and not cutscene, flashback. And what basically became an impetus for Batman in that world to maybe retire. Well, yeah, no worries. Can pick that up if you like in a minute. Whoa, that's a lot of damage. This was more of a crossbow situation, and I should equip myself accordingly. So I just love how this giant sentient ball of doom is out there trying to murder me. Night Maiden and Swordstress puppets. Wait, these are puppets? Now they seem... big ball of fire. That's not a lot of damage. I mean, this may have been past the... I'll take that. What a silly, silly hitbox. I like that they have made it harder to choose difficult enemies over the years, but it's still an option here and there, and I'll still take it. Like, in retrospect, I feel like kind of robbed myself of some stuff when I killed my very first playthrough of a Souls game, Demon Souls. I killed the Man-Eater by shooting arrows through the fog gate. And yeah, I was super green at the time in terms of this gameplay loop, and the Man-Eaters were kicking my ass. So taking care of at least one of them preventively was what I needed to continue in the game, so never feel like you're not playing the game properly when you resort to such tactics. But at the same time, hello. Camera's very accommodating here, and I'm not even being snarky. Weird that the enemy just vanishes entirely. This could be more optimal, but at the same time, I'd rather see stuff. Level tier. We get so many respecs. Every level tier is a respec. And, pretty dope. We only used one so far. And I wonder if this should really be a game where I just try pushing into higher levels of New Game Plus. I think the highest I've ever been in a Souls game is just the first New Game Plus. And with this one, I wonder if I just... since you can remake the character very freely, and Samurai seems to be a pretty generous base. Like, your starting class doesn't even show up here anymore. So, this character could be anything in the next playthrough. Just need to make sure that I take good care of the save file. Oh, this smacks of a boss. This smacks of a boss that belongs in Bloodborne, to be honest, but... yeah. Yeah, also this great civilization eventually met its end. all the budget was squandered on building churches. Just lots and lots of churches. We do not know for what purpose. These people weren't even religious, but that's all they built. Okay. And a giant ball. It's probably not going to happen, but all these little ones are kind of accumulating around the giant ball and then forming legion. Be really, really fun and cool. But yeah, you never forget your first love. And my first boss in Souls predictably was Legion. The first boss you gotta beat in that game. So. Oh. Now this is gonna be fun. Come on, Bolly. Come over here. Come on. Yes. Yes. We're only missing the... And he can't even get out. This is adorable. Also, wow, if all of these respawn... we are making mad bank right now. Could be a good place to just farm souls. Okay. Now. No hidden secret? I'm insulted. The game was like, oh, you're insulted, huh? Where did my jumping ability go? Ah, there it was. Ah, That's about 60k, which makes up a whole level. Okay, let's try and get there without getting killed. It's not the end of the world. Like I said, the build is basically done. A character doesn't need more levels per se. Can I run past these goons? Yep. Now the big question is, do the balls do respawn? We interrupt this broadcast to inform you. The balls do respawn. Okay, so I made about 1,000 souls before I got here. Let me actually take the opportunity to change the ding-dang interface. Overall, since now we have a little time. Okay, it's not bringing in massively big bucks, but still amusing to me, that's for sure. That's about right. Facing. Okay. Yeah, now that works. Yeah, so again, I thought this would bring in, like, a five-figure sum in terms of souls, but no such luck. Oh, not like this. I think the jumping ability, specifically near these corners, may have been curved a little bit in order to dissuade me from going here. Anyway. Still swinging around with about 75k. And all of this feels right out of Bloodborne, which, you know, is not a critique. Or criticism, rather. And also quite spooky. Oh yeah, the yank is real. Discount patches. You ever pull so hard on your regular bow that an entire church bench just caves? Even at 16 strength, we continue to remain unreasonably slow. Well, the moveset was a little angled downwards, so being on a set of stairs, on the lower part of a set of stairs, is no longer a strict advantage. Forgetting that these immediate counterattacks are a thing and are super easy to pull off. You just push R2 after a successful block, so there's no timing required. Oh, this looks special. Moon of Noxtella. I believe the word you're looking for is Apocalyptica. Have Apocalyptica done anything lately? like that. Increases memory slots from... oh, 2. 2 is pretty decent. Like, if it was just 1, I would feel cut of a little bunk, but the fact that attunement is no longer a thing, and you just find new spell slots as items, like as key items. I'm still finding ways to sit comfortably in my new workspace. It's been mirrored left to right, which is okay, but still requires some adjustment, and my spine will probably be like, wait, what? It's gonna be turned into the other direction more than is healthy? I don't think that this will make up for anything. But is that really all there is to this place? Like, this talisman is great, and I'm sure for casters it's absolutely terrific. Also, if you're big enough to sit on this throne, and we've encountered entities that were big enough to sit on this throne, like they're dead husks anyway. How do you get through this door? And how do you stand up even? Congratulations. They built a church around you. You can no longer get out. No. Every deity ever. Honestly, a little boss fight wouldn't have gone amiss here to just make this particular, like if this is everything we do in Nokstella, it feels anticlimactic. Might not be. In fact, how are we supposed to get down there? Other than recklessness as always. Ugh. Naturally oily and double joints. I've recently gotten back into Critical Role, and the current campaign has some antagonists who can just unhinge their joints and becomes extra slimy, so they basically just travel around through the heating vents of a city. Mountain city, and it's... ugh. It's not helped by the fact that there is... they're described to also have a very moldy smell about them. Was there a thing on the X-Files? Like I mean, of course, the X-Files ran for what, 10 seasons? Of course they will have something that will have had something like that. Oh yeah, also wasn't there a okay, so discussion of little, like a grody X-Files monster that I remember. A guy who would imbibe tumors, like cancerous growths from other people, often not obtained with consent or regard to their safety, so murder, to regrow body parts. And in the end, it was like, in the end, that person got decapitated and came back from that. Like that's the early X-Files seasons shit that I remember from the 90s, being like, okay, that was fucking spooky. And I guess spooked is also an appropriate portmanteau here, you know. It was also kind of stupid, but I should remember that. It was kind of weird how, like, I only watched the first season of the revival. I think they made like 2 or 3, right? And the very best thing, like the episode that was the most fun, was the one where they just went completely ham and had like one of those Monster of the Week episodes about, I think, a lizard person who went underground, talked to miniature Rani. A lizard person that went native among humans, and it was just very silly. And oh yeah, that would be. I mean, Mulder was a little bit like that, bit of a schlub, bit of a weirdo, but also had a lot of, I think, what we now would refer to as white protagonist pain. I mean, he was looking for his sister, got abducted by aliens. I think that's not something unreasonable to be upset about. But yeah. But I could see that, just a little more bumbling, a little more not letting on how clever you are. Okay, miniature Rani is not giving me anything, so I guess we're just gonna try this now at every bonfire. Very thorough in the paperwork and background research. Yep. Level 100. Sadly, the Ant Riders of Noxtella was not picked up for a DreamWorks movie. Oh yeah, it should vary. Like, I think they often, I feel they often settled Scully with the skeptic thing, even though she had already encountered so much bullshit that defies conventional explanation, to the point where you're like, okay, yeah, sure, she's the more level-headed of the two, but at this point she's just willfully ignorant. Oh, sorry. I hope that wasn't too... I didn't mute myself for this minor microphone adjustment, but... still went through. So I think what we did was the big excursion, or the big digression, just to get that really fancy... Oh, we're getting shittered here. I guess this is another thing that I would recommend to anyone struggling with this game. Just dump 40 levels into health and let them try. Because the very scary or very excessive... Like, I still think some of the enemies in this game, they queue out way too fast. Like, I think a Nox Monk armor. That's kind of cool. I ever need something really light. Probably has a high magic resistance. Yeah, I mean... Let's... go for a different talisman. Don't wanna use the... Like, I don't want to use the whatchamacallit, the Great Jar's Arsenal as too much of a crutch all the time. The one that ups equip load by a good chunk. I do not. And feel free to link it in chat. Okay, just took a glance at it, but just Mulder standing there with his arms held high is, yeah. Like, he wasn't always this exuberant, but if he did, when he did, he went hard. Or rather, it doesn't quite reflect how he may have acted in much of the show, but it kind of reflects his vibe, if that makes sense. Among my absolute favorite enemies in this game are these weird snake-like... I guess they are snails and not snakes. Oh no, those are actually absolutely snails. These are also just regular snails? I guess they're still vaguely snake-like. But my point is that those weren't spirit caller snails. But these are a thing in this game. Snails that just sit in a corner that is not super easy to reach and just sing summoning spirits to attack you. I mean, have you looked that closely? I'm sorry. That's probably could be mildly upsetting. No. No, but they have a few variations. Oh yeah. I mean, snails and slugs don't really... Like, some insects, as I discussed earlier, maybe before you got in, like, somewhat upset me. Like, if they're the crawly types, if they're fast, if they're surprising. Snails and slugs are just kind of there. And snails with their little houses are, I just think they're neat. I'm really just digging around in this. In this one particular area, huh? And the game also throws a ton of enemies at me here, and bunch of hidden items. Crafting materials I never seem to use. Although this one is an upgrade materials for spirits, so that's nice. Who's shooting at me? The answer might surprise me, I guess. You even the one that I just attacked? Okay, that jump was a dick move, but I kinda respect the hustle. I also really dislike stepping on them. Like it happens. Oh, we're big entities.
Oh, a dogged fellow, aren't we?
We had to keep talking to her.
My habit to talk to dolls.
Yes, I'm that lonely.
Fine. I hadn't expected any soul to recognize me in this guise.
Is it really you?
The cat is out the bag. I cannot allow thee thy freedoms. Perform for me a service as recompense.
What do you want this time, Rani?
Baleful shadows which prowl these lands. The name of Rani the witch is already sullied by thee. I
What?
will not brook disobedience in this matter.
Whatever. What did I ever do?
Let us speak of the past a while. I was once an Empyrean, of the demigods. Only I, Mikola, and Melania could claim that title. Each of us was chosen by our own two fingers, as a candidate to succeed Queen Marika, to become the new god of the coming age, which is when I received Blythe, in the form of a vassal tailored for an Empyrean. But I would not acquiesce to the two fingers. I stole the rune of death, slew mine own Empyrean flesh, casting it away. I would not be controlled by that thing. The two things and I have been cursing each other ever since, and the baleful shadows are their assassins.
Okay.
I turned my back on the two fingers, and we the baleful...
Okay. Yeah, I was most thinking of slugs, like during rain season. But yeah, also not great with snails. Yeah, poor things. Gotta say, I'm like, I mean, Rani is not always being super nice to us, but yeah, all these demigods treat us as a pawn on the best of days, so that's kind of... Right with you there. Where was I? Yeah, but I kinda fear for her. Like, she was, like, destined to become the next big thing, but also only, like, a pawn of the greater will and the two fingers. And she was like, yeah, no. How about no? Oh, is Twitch being a bot? Oh, I'm dropping frames. That's on my end. Seem to have simmered down. Oh, that was on my end, definitely. Anyway,